Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a new piece of flash fiction. All of the stories are 1000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading Remnants of Us Then. One day, there you were again, simply floating through my mind. It had been years, perhaps even a decade at this point, but your face came back to me, sliding to the front of my memories, like some part of my subconscious was trying to force a realization upon me. I didn't want to remember particularly, but I did anyway. To be fair, that doesn't mean I didn't want to remember either. It had just been so long, both since we had known each other and since I had thought of you last. But there you were again. A face in a jumble of thoughts, demanding to be considered. Do you remember those days still? I do. That summer, the heat and the joy and the sweat. The winter, when we stayed wrapped up indoors cooking broth and swapping ideas. And all those little moments in between, which were unremarkable looking back on it, but felt something like a revelation anyway. I suppose that was because you felt like a revelation to me. Like a tune I had never heard, but which made perfect sense when I finally stumbled across it. I had always heard of people clicking instantly, but I had never put much stock in it really. I figured it was something like the concept of love at first sight, wonderful for fairy tales and other lies we tell to children, but of no practical use in the confusing and cynical coldness of the real world. How wrong I was, clearly. The spark I felt when I met you caught quickly into a roaring fire, which brought warmth and comfort to my life in a way I had never felt before. The world was not made up only of cold drudgery, long sessions spent trying to make something work with people who you might have little in common with at best. There was room too for passion, for spontaneity, for sudden chance meetings which could redefine everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. That's why you were a revelation. It sounds like hyperbole or fawning, but it's not. Meeting you did change my life, in a way which was likely invisible from the outside, but substantive nonetheless. It's a cliché to say so, but there is truth in the idea of fires burning bright and then dying. I suppose that was the case with us, though of course each decision I made killed the flames a little more, rather than feeding them. I can imagine a different version of events where we stayed friends, perhaps moved in together, perhaps even, in my strangest imaginings, formed the kind of passionate, loving and supportive relationships that they write about in soppy airport books. But none of that happened, did it? I left the city, and you moved on with other things. It was my own fault, not nurturing what I had, but still expecting it to always be there. But then, that's the thing about being young. You expect that what you know can last forever. You don't realize yet that decay comes for all things, unless they are properly taken care of. And I don't mean to sound so self-serious and upset. Life took a path and I followed it. You may have been the first person that I was able to connect with so instantly and intensely, but you were not the last. Others came and others went. A few stuck around, still with me till this day. I'm sure some will drift away in the future, and there will be those who replace them if I'm lucky. The strange ride that is life in the modern world will always be littered with the husks of friendships left abandoned and forgotten. I'm not upset about it. It's simply how things are, But it's still difficult not to look back and wonder. To think, why did I let that one go? To think, what could have been if I had only made an effort? Regrets pile up, but they are simply the regrets of a hypothetical life never lived, and so I suppose it's difficult for them to weigh too heavily. They are fantasies, fictions we tell ourselves about how things would have been better, because we have some strange investment in projecting ourselves into the ideal fairy tale life. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, aren't I? Gabbing on over some trash about the human condition, when I was just trying to remember you. How easy it is to get distracted, and how fun it used to be when we would do it together. Taking each other down routes and alleys of silly little ideas and half-formed thoughts. But you're gone now, away from me. You're living your own life out there, and doing well, I think. I know a little from what I've seen and heard, and I'm happy for you, but it's not the same as it once was. We aren't friends, more like acquaintances who go up at each other's lives from a distance and think of fond memories. And that's okay. I let your face float away, focusing on other, more pressing issues. Once in a while, it's good to remember what came before and to imagine what might have been. But there's still a life to lead and things to do. I can only thank you for what we shared together and then move on. And I hope, maybe, somewhere out there, on some other day when you're feeling nostalgic, you might do the same. And in that way, we're still connected, even if it's not by much. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook, or check out the website at under1000pod.com. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, Nictate, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.